Hey world, this is Justin, and you are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Oh man, do we have an episode that is exciting today. It's exciting for me. Today we get to hang out with Roger Clyne of Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. And this is Roger's third time on the show, but man, it had been 10 years since he was last on, which blew both of our minds when we realized that. And also, it's kind of hard to believe that this show's been on long enough that I could have had a guest be on 3 times, and the last time he was on was 10 years ago. Just wild on all levels. Also just wild because, you know, Roger, I started listening to The Refreshments when I was 13 or 14 years old. My all-time favorite band. And, you know, it's weird, this work we do, where I get to have this professional relationship with these people that I grew up loving. You know, had I told myself these things were coming when I was in my teenage years, would have never believed it. So it's very cool. I feel so privileged to get to do this work and to get to share this with you, because if you are unfamiliar with Roger, just fantastic musician and such a wonderful human spirit that's brought out in his music, in the live shows, in the work that he does. And that goes to the entire band, the Peacemakers. They really represent something special, and that's why I followed them all these years, and that's why I wanted to have him back on the show. The other reason for that is because Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers are releasing a brand new album coming in March, but available to pre-order right now if you head over to their website. That link is in the show notes, but Hell to Breakfast is the title of the new album, and I've heard it. It is so good. Just a wonderful collection of just what you want from Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. It's a really great album. Very, very excited for it to come out, and you should definitely pre-order that. Get over there to check that out. But yeah, Roger Clyne. I mean, you know, he came into our world, to many of us, as The Refreshments. You know, the big song Banditos back in the 90s. Of course, the theme song to the TV show King of the Hill. And then, you know, ever since then, they've been doing the music thing as an independent band as Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers, and still going strong after over 3 decades, I think, which is just, you know, wild. So big props to Roger. Big thanks to Roger and Elisa and the team for taking the time to make this interview happen. They will be going out on tour later this year to promote the album, so keep an eye on the tour dates on the website. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get Roger to a place very close to you. We'll see if we can make that stuff happen. But yeah, pre-order the album, Hell to Breakfast. You're going to get a preview of one of the songs, a single that has not been released yet, but is coming out here shortly. So you can get to check out the song Yeh Shoobeh. And then my chat with Roger Clyne of Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers takes place after. Thank you for your time, and here's to life.
Yeah, shoobeh doobeh. Yeah, Shoobeh too. Yeah, Shoobeh doobeh. Yeah, Shoobeh doobeh too.
Plus, I just had my thumbs cut on. Like, check these babies out.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we'll just dive into it because people can't see this, but tell me what is happening with your thumbs, sir?
Well, these guys,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't see it. My hands have been bugging me for about 2 years, like sort of like, and I was, God dang, here comes the old man stuff. I was on a solo tour with Willie Braun, and we both showed up wearing thumb braces. We were doing, well, it can't be solo if I'm with somebody, so it was a duo tour. Anyways, I'm like, what's up with your thumb? He's like, oh, I tried to cut it off with a saw. And he's like, what's wrong with yours? I'm like, I have no idea, you know? And he goes, I got a guy I'm going to go see in Austin who worked on Elvis Costello and comes recommended by a bunch of other people, and he specializes in musicians, you know, wear and tear and injury and repair.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky enough to find an appointment. He knew right what to do. He's like, oh, yeah, well, you've earned some bone spurs and frayed tendons and compensatory cysts here. And we're just going to go and cut those out. And you'll never be your 26-year-old self, but we'll take a couple of decades of wear and tear off of this. And it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I just was there on Friday. I'm 5 days into it. I get to take the blue guys off, these big blue guys off today. Yeah. And see the gore, the incisions, which is I'm strangely looking forward to. But anyway, I needed to be ready for the Hell to Breakfast tour, so I'm like, I can't hurt playing guitar. So I looked for the solution, and hopefully he's the guy who gave it to me.
Perfect. Yeah. What's recovery time on that kind of thing look like?
He said 3 to 4 weeks. I'm just a lazy bum, which I can totally do.
Yeah.
I'm doing. I'm reading books and catching up on bad westerns that my wife doesn't want to watch. So
it's funny, you know, sometimes life forces us into those moments where it's just like you need to calm down and chill out and relax a little bit, and you know, work will wait. So
yeah. And the doctor, you know, gave me nothing but good news. He's like, I go, what is this? You know, is this just me like old? He goes, no, how long have you been doing this? And I go, I'm on my 30th year professional, plus I was amateur before then. And he goes, okay, how many nights do you play a year? I'm like, at least 150, more like 200. And he goes, okay, sound check is how long? I'm 30 minutes. And he goes, how long are your sets? 2 hours. Do you do meet and greets where you play? I'm like, yeah. Rehearsals? I'm like, sometimes. He goes, and writing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that adds up to what you've got here. 30 years of playing like that ends up taking a toll. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and it's you mentioned 30 years. It's wild to think about. I went and listened to your last time you were here, which wildly the last time we had you on the show was 10 years ago. It was January of 2016.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Which I don't know how that happened. So much life has happened, but we were talking then about the 20-year anniversary of Fizzy Fuzzy. And here you are, like, yeah, now it's 30 years of playing.
Next month it'll be 30 years old.
Yeah. So how you feeling about that?
I'm feeling blessed and grateful and a little bit like old. That thing is that's a vintage record, you know, but people in my boots who've been doing it this long start to get words like legacy bandied about them, and I don't mind it. I'm like, wow, you know, life goes by in the blink of an eye. That cliche is true, and I can see it. But I've had I've made a lot of art, and I stand by it all. And when people say legacy, I'm honored to hear it. So I guess that's how I'm feeling about it. Like I earned it. Like I'm grateful that I got the time to do it. I'm grateful for the fan base. I'm grateful for the players. I'm grateful for the artistic environment that the United States of America gave me for those 30 years, and I will work to keep it as free and as such.
Excellent. Yeah, it's It's pretty wild. I've been a fan of yours since I was, 13, 14 years old. And I think, I've probably been a fan of yours longer than I've done most things in life. So
All right. Well, thank you
it's,
for that.
it's been a wonderful journey with you. I recently in the last couple of years got into dancing, and I'm in this local dance crew that the age ranges from 20s into 50s, and I'm on the older end of the group. But I was talking about your music we have a group chat, I don't know, a month or two ago, and it was funny because someone on the younger end of the group actually knew, of course it was Bandito, and then Bandito's, and
Cool.
then we started talking King of the Hill, and then someone chimed in and said, "Oh, I know the original Refreshments album. Her dad had it," and so it was just one of those things where it's like there it is. It's always there. So
That happens. Thank you for that tenure you spent with all the time you spent with us, and a good story. It happens with more frequency now that I'll be like, "Huh, look, there's a 20-something in our audience," which is cool. It's not rare and it's not even uncommon, but it's nice to see the younger generation responding to our music, and almost without fail, it's those people's parents who turn them on to the music. Like, oh yeah, we were in the minivan going to the soccer games or the hockey matches or whatever they are, and my dad, my mom would play Fizzy Fuzzy, or we listened to it on vacation, or even cooler for me is like when they pick a title that's older, like, oh well, No More Beautiful World was always stuck in the cassette player or whatever. So it's cool, and a lot of times I'll meet the young folks after a show, and they'll be, hey, I got to get a picture and send it to my dad. That's cool. There's two generations.
yeah, yeah, that's the legacy of music right there. So I listened back to the last two times you were on the show. This is your third time here, which actually, even though it's been so long, puts you in the higher tier. I think the only person that's been on this show more than you is someone I know of through you, Justin Wells. Back when you toured with Fifth on the Floor many, many years ago, he and I connected, and he's been a regular on the show. But
Cool.
yeah. So I was listening
That
to
band
his.
broke up a while back, and I don't have his contact. Just give him my regards, please.
Oh, you know what? He was just in town not that long ago. We've been doing these studio sessions, and he came into the studio for it, and we were actually talking about you. So he remembers that tour fondly. He's doing his own solo thing now. He just wrote a beautiful album about his wife. The entire album's a tribute to his wife and their love, and he's doing some really amazing things. So yeah, shout out to Justin Wells there. So
Shout out.
but so listening to those past times you've been on the show, most times, the first time someone comes on here, we get into the origin story, and we never actually got into that, which I guess is a failure on my part as the journalist here. But let's do some way back. Let's jump into the way back machine a little bit.
Let's do it.
When did you start playing music? Was this a thing that was happening around your house growing up? When did you get turned on to picking up a guitar or writing music or anything like that? What did that start like for you?
This probably sounds like most musicians' path. Like I didn't really. Well, I don't know. I'll just tell mine. I didn't come from a very musical family, but back when I was a kid, music was a part of the curriculum in elementary school and in junior high and in high school. We had to have a music education. It wasn't really optional, which I'm grateful for too. At one point in my life, I was taking piano lessons, and I was conversant in musical theory and all that stuff. It came at a point in time where my family moved to a little place that had an urban lake, and that lake was stocked with fish. So I just abandoned piano practice and would sneak off to go fishing. It was my thing. So after my mom was tired of wasting money on piano lessons, I got to fish, but I basically forgot everything. But I still had to stay in whatever musical program you're in school. Fast forward to high school, I had been in like some, I had not vocal training so much, but like you have to be in a choir when you're in 8th grade or whatever in our curriculum, or in freshman or sophomore in college. And I could sing. I was a decent singer, but I was painfully shy. And this band in 1980 something in my high school had all the players. Everybody could play guitar or bass or drums or keys, but nobody would sing. Like, I don't think shyness is nearly as pervasive now in our society as it was then. Anyway, but I was like, for some strange reason, I was like, I'll freaking sing. I'll do that. So I did. I went and auditioned for this band, and I got the spot because I was the only person. Anyway, now I'm in a band, and now I'm meeting people, and we're playing terrible versions of terrible songs, but it was sure fun. And I felt really naked. I couldn't find myself in front of the microphone. So I borrowed a guitar and I hung it around my neck and around my shoulders. And I plugged it in and I tied the cord behind somebody else's amp to something so that it looked like I was actually doing something. And I would hold that and fake chords. Well, that just led to me being able to take that home and learn it. But I never had any instruction. I just got some cowboy chord book from Sears and did what you have to do when you're playing guitar. You're like, this is impossible. How is a human hand supposed to do this? But you work past that frustration with practice, and then all of a sudden, G, a C, and a D. After that happens, I just decided I would hum melodies and try to write something to it, and little by little became a songwriter, started to write originals. And thank goodness there was no social media back then to record all my mistakes, because I had, I don't know how many poor performances and terrible songs I wrote. I performed in terrible songs I wrote, but luckily not all of them are out there in perpetuity on the World Wide Web. Anyway, that's how it started, really, just because I was the only guy, and I kind of wanted to not be so shy, so I stepped up to the mic and got the job.
That's awesome. Yeah, I talked to a lot of artists who got their start in the internet age, and it's funny, a lot of them reached this point in their career. They have this sort of dilemma where they have recordings out there on streaming or whatnot that maybe don't fit who they are any longer, or aren't of the quality that they've reached at that point, and they have this dilemma of, do I pull those off? The internet, am I not honoring history if I do that, but am I also not honoring who I've become? And it's this interesting dynamic that isn't necessarily as much of a thing when you're talking about, coming up in that era,
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't really have to wrestle with it. I mean, I've got, everybody films everything now, and so there's probably a lot of flubs and terrible performances, or even really, really bad moments that are out there of me. But I guess I'm more of the school that keeps you accountable, So, but lucky enough, none of my rehearsals or early songs or demos are out there, or at least not many of them.
Yeah.
That's not a cue. That's not a prompt to have anybody listening to this to get out there, find it, and share it.
Yeah.
Sleeping dogs,
Yeah, we don't need to go digging into the archives on that. So
right.
Yeah, let's let it be.
That's essentially the origin story. It doesn't have a lot of, it's not a pageant, just a process.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, there are so many ways that people get into it. I mean, some people come up in very musical families. Some people come up where music wasn't even listened to in the house. And it's just interesting how people find their way into what becomes essentially the most meaningful thing in their life,
Yeah. I was regarding like the musical atmosphere in my house. My family always listened to music, and my parents, like a lot of parents in the 70s, got divorced. My dad comes from a ranching family. He's still a rancher, and I'm up to bat next. He's running 10,000 acres, and like as an 83-year-old man. He's a tough dude.
That'll keep you young, though,
But that's the thing. He's like, I'll go and help him do stuff, right? And he'll know I have some time there, anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks. And I spend more and more of my time there. I love it. It's homeland to me. But towards the end of any given stay, he'll be like, don't do that. Don't move those fence posts. Don't dig that fence hole. Don't fix that pipe. Et cetera. Don't lunge the horse. I need to do all this so I stay alive. I need a to-do list every day. I'm like, yeah, that's good advice, What were we talking about? Music. And on that side of the family, listened to a lot of what ranchers were listening to. It was Bob Wills, old Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Sons of the Pioneers, that kind of like old school country. And I hated it. Like, mostly when I turned like 11, 12, 16, you know, all through that, I was like, I hate this. I will never pull on a pair of cowboy boots, wear a cowboy hat, or listen to this again. And so I did what kids do and reacted, and I found punk rock, and it was, you know, it was a revolution for me. I remember when somebody sort of had to sneak me a listen of Nevermind the Bollocks because they weren't allowed to have it, and it infected me instantly. But I was, so I went out and I took all my money and I went to Smitty's or Gemco, those are references here for the Arizona crowd, and spent my money on Nevermind the Bollocks and Freedom of Choice and the Lords of the New Church first issue, like that stuff. And loved it. And all the skate rock stuff, you know, all the acronyms, JFA and DOA and GBH, you know, all those punk rock bands, and all that stuff came together in me somehow. And my writing is that, like, it's put those guys together in a, you know, behind a 7-Eleven, one with a Slurpee and one with a bottle of tequila, and see what happens, right? And this is it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always been that thread of kind of mischief through your music. Good natured, but it's always been there, and that's whether it is in the old Refreshments. Obviously, it was a little more prevalent in some of the Refreshments song, but straight through the Peacemakers, that sense of good natured mischief has always been there, and something I've loved so much.
Perfecto. I appreciate you hearing that. Yeah, and our first single off of Hell to Breakfast was Agua Caliente, and that was a wink and a nod to just to that kind of fun, good-natured mischief that we've shared with our audience for 30 years. And living rock and roll is that. It's like it's kind of a wink, and like we're getting away with this. Thank you.
Yeah. I have a partner in this venture now, and so he does the sound on this, and so he wasn't here the last time you were on, and so I kind of gave him a primer on who you are, what you do, that kind of thing. And so I walk into the recording studio the other day, and he's blasting the singles, and that was the song he was playing, and he goes, "The Peacemakers, I get it, man." Yep. And then we just had a moment in this beautiful studio we work out of now, and blasting the singles from that album. So yeah, it's going strong there. We'll definitely get to the new album, but before we do, so you were in this punk rock phase, and then I assume at some point you did. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I wanted to say about that, which I forgot because I'm pretty good at finding side tangents, like in many different ways, was that any music was never forbidden in either of those households, my father's or my mother's. And so I remember when I brought home, you know, let's go with something softer, but no, I remember a moment that became an interview when I had Bloodied But Unbowed by, I think it's DOA, and Golden Shower of Hits, by that, I don't recall the name of the band because I'm on the hot plate, but my mom saw those titles and those, you know, those record covers, and she still was like, "Can you tell me about this?" But never took them away, because she knew to do that just, you know, make some forbidden fruit, and that's all you would seek. But I want to give kudos to both sides of my family. Whatever I brought home, you know, whatever music, whatever, however bland or however iconoclastic it was, I was allowed to listen to it as long as I had my chores done, and you know, wasn't too bad a kid, just bad enough.
Yeah, no, that is so important, and the willingness to have conversations around that. So two of the most well-rounded, mature teenagers that I know are the kids of a couple friends of mine, and they have a similar approach. Nothing's off the table, but everything is discussed. And so, okay, maybe this thing is a little bit, you know, maybe some people might not like it for a lot of reasons, but let's talk about that. Let's understand that experience. And it's led them down these wonderful paths and is turning them into these wonderful human beings, you know?
Great. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's cool when you get to have like a conversation with your children about it instead of just saying I'm the authority and you will respect it, and you can't back that up other than like I'm your parent. Like that's not going to work with kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you're listening to the punk rock. Was there an era after the punk rock that you got into some new music? Did you swing back to what your dad was listening to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I was like, damn, Sons of the Pioneers are great storytellers. And holy cow, Marty Robbins spent some time in Arizona, right? And he's a great storyteller. I started to really appreciate the craft and the depth of that music and the honesty of that music. And that it was like the same as the honesty and the passion of punk rock. Now, punk rock as a craft or as an art form is way more crude, but no less important. You know, it's like that's how it expresses itself. You know, it's supposed to jar you, and that's what it's good for. Anyway, those two things. Yeah, I did come back to country and western, and I still have a lot of bands that I really enjoy in that genre, if it's still even a genre. And then there's a lot that I don't. Most Nashville shit I don't dig. And I've got some good friends. I've got some good friends with really big careers, and I love them. But I'm like, I think your music is just the best, dude. You know, it's part of the problem, but it also gives me a niche, like a space where I can operate comfortably. Yeah, I kind of put all that junk together, and New Wave was in there. Spring Session M by Missing Persons got worn out, you know. Love Devo, and it all evolved into that. It became a genre of its own. All that stuff in the late '80s, early '90s, and once Matt Pinfield got his space on MTV, thank God, it was a validation, but it was the beginning of the end. Everything just became commercially usurped and used just to make money, and had much less message in it in general than it did before. I'm not saying not categorically, no. Like there are bands who are still amazing, still passionate, still there for their message and to make a change and express themselves honestly. But the resurgence of labels making money on music, I saw happen in the '90s, and I was part of it. You know, I was there. I don't think I was signed for artistic integrity. It was an entertainment value. And I remember our A&R guy who signed the Refreshments, whom I'm still in contact and grateful with. He sold us to his president as, these guys are the sound of cash registers ringing. I was like, that's what you hear? Okay, well, that's your job.
Yeah.
We can still
Yeah, I mean, that tells you a lot about the motivations in those spaces too, you know.
Well, I know. I was like, okay, that's your job, but okay.
Yeah.
Understanding.
Yeah. But there's also a magic to, you know, the way in which you see art when it gets co-opted by kind of the money machines. It seems to continue to find a way to shrug that off and to find its new path using new technology, new culture, you know, whatever. Like the art always comes back
or
around.
Anymore, old technology and old culture still is in the quiver of the artist, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now more so than ever, when we're getting a little inundated with technology, it seems like there's a trend now to shift almost backwards that direction and find artistic integrity in that.
I'm a vintage guy, and I'm pretty selective about what I like, and I try not to be cynical. I try to remain curious and not prejudge things. But I must admit, to this moment last night, I was watching a rerun of Saturday Night Live, and that's uncommon for me. I don't usually do that. It just kind of came up, you know, in my evening ritual and chores. My wife and I cook a lot of stuff from scratch and at home, and if we're going to have something on, it's usually, we try not to pay attention to it so that we can pay attention to the cooking, but we will have something on in the background from time to time. Saturday Night Live was our choice last night, and when this band came on, Geese, I stopped doing what I was doing and went to the couch and went, all right. I've only heard 2 of their songs as of today, but each of them that came up, and both of them that came up, I was like, fuck yeah, kids. That's cool.
Yeah. I would recommend
I
the
know they've been
integrity.
around. I've heard their name.
Yeah.
in the ether or on the news feed, right?
Yeah.
But I never did dig in, and then there they were by accident, and I went, that gives me heart and hope. It's cool.
Yeah. Fantastic album. One of my favorite albums of last year. I definitely recommend checking out the rest of it. Good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Always
know they're
new
like
great
big.
stuff.
I came late to the party for a lot of bands because if they get heralded, I like I said, I'm naturally cynical, but I try to stay curious. And anyways, like I missed Kings of Leon first time through because I was like, nah, it can't be that good. If that many people like them, I was wrong, and now I'm a fan.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the benefits of this work that I do. It forces me to stay curious and up on things and figuring out, even if I don't quite get something the first time I hear it, to take the time to go back and hear it again. I mean, that's kind of my job. Got to do it. So, yeah.
You do, and you're allowed to have an opinion, right? And you should. We count on journalists and critics to have an opinion, and that's actually an expression in and of itself. It's just that musicians likely will not like it most of the time.
Yes. Yeah. So is there anything modern or semi-modern that is really speaking to you or even influencing you, if not musically, even from like a storytelling perspective?
Wow, that's great. I've gone funny. Musically, I haven't been attracted or captured by anything of late. Last thing I really was wrapped in was Silverada's new issue, and I don't remember the title of the record because Mike shared it with me. He's like, check this out. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I think that they're a fantastic band, and he's an amazing writer, and the studio work they did was fantastic. So Silverada's last issue was the last time I just spent hours listening to something. And I think it was even before they titled the record. So I don't know what, and I've just listened to it off my phone, what he sent me. But I've been reading a lot, actually, a lot more, and actually off of a book. I like to read now off of books.
We're talking the paper ones, right?
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. I have the option. I can do books on tape. I can put it on a pad or whatever, but I like books. Right now they make me feel good. I like the tactile feel of them. I like how they have a heft, the smell of the pages, the turning of the pages, the dog earring and highlighting and writing in the margins. I've been reading a lot of Hemingway, and I love the simplicity and the poetic nature of his storytelling. So put Silverado together with Hemingway, and it's kind of what I'm into at present.
I love it. I love it. All right. Before we get to the new album, we're going to jump on that in a minute, but just quick back to the origin story. If I recall correctly, so you're playing music, you're playing in these bands, but you also, you were in a fairly high level of higher education, maybe not quite your PhD, but pretty close to it, if I recall?
Accepted to the program, California State University, Long Beach, in experimental design, which is actually in the School of Psychology. And experimental design has to do with, this is so geeky, has to do with designing experiments and understanding and creating measurements and understanding variables such that you can tease them apart to see what's really going on so that you can create a very good replicable airtight experiment or know that it's not, so that you can discover what the facts are. That was fascinating to me. I was really good at statistics, terrible at arithmetic and mathematics. Anyway, got accepted to a grad program in California, was on my way there, but it was also I could earn credits here in Arizona towards that education that I was going to participate in California. I was doing that at the same time. I was in a band that was emergent in the Tempe music scene in the mid 90s called The Refreshments. And it was really fun. I've got my undergrad degree. I'm starting to knock off some credits towards the post-grad stuff and living in Arizona, in love with a girl whom I married and having a ball being in a bar band. And so I asked the university in California if I could defer a year, and they said yes, which was pretty much the death knell for that career, because the band kept getting bigger. I kept having more money. I was making $50 a week, with big cash. And then during that time, we got nominated to go to South by Southwest in Austin. We were supported by a performing rights group called ASCAP. Those are for, writers, musicians, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, et cetera. And, it was 1994, and we garnered this showcase. We went to a little place called the Aquarium on 6th and attracted, holy shit, A&R people, record people, and pretty much earned a deal. And so I had to ask CSU. I didn't know what was going on. I had to ask CSU if I could defer another year, and they're like, "No, no, you can't. You have to take your seat or give it up." And so I gave it up. I took the road less traveled by, and now I'm in rock and roll. And that has made all the difference.
Yeah, well, and we're grateful for it. So
thank you.
Yeah,
well, I think it's been a lot, probably a lot less security, but a lot more liberty. A lot more adventure. I imagine I'd have been probably happy as a tenured professor somewhere teaching experimental design or publishing or perishing, etc. But this has been a really fun ride.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to someone near and dear to me recently about that kind of thing, and sometimes you just have to take those leaps toward the thing that's maybe a little less secure but a little bit more meaningful, because we live once. And yeah,
and I told you I was late for the interview because I'm seeing it in my kids now live in it. And my youngest son, I have 3 kids. I have an older son who's actually a PhD candidate in Reno in environmental sciences, and I have two younger kids that are twins, a boy and a girl. My daughter is expressing her artistic bohemianness in New York City, having a ball, being in her 20s, living that. And my other son is a graduate of University of Arizona. He's got his degree, but he's not ready to put it to work. And so this is a longer story. He comes here today wrapped in his black flag. He's not really figuratively, he's like for real anarchist, and I'm proud of that. He was like, yeah, I'm just being a bartender, and it's just a means to an end, because he wants to live a summer being a river guide in Idaho. I'm like, that's beautiful. He goes, yeah, I'm starving, but all my friends just opened up a beauty salon and a tire shop, and when we're getting around to talk, they're like, so what are you doing, Rusty? He's like, I don't know, I'm just working at a bar, and putting my money away. I'm renting a cheap bedroom, and I just want to go wander a little bit more, and they're all, oh my God, really, dude, that's so cool. I'm like, it is, Rusty, it is cool. Don't forget it. They've handed in their stuff. They've got a new life. It's going to be different. It's going to be wonderful. But as long as you're still loving yours like it is, don't get insecure. Don't don the trappings of societal, quote unquote, thou shalt. Just be you, do your thing. Don't measure yourself by the societal yardstick, because it's ultimately diminishing.
Yeah,
sorry to get on that whole thing.
No, that is why we're here,
yeah, dude. Yeah, I was like, dude, get on it.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, but there's always this doubt. I'm like, yeah, that dragon's going to be there, but ignore it. Yeah, we were talking about other things. We were talking about protest, and he's like, yeah, I think I'll just be that dancing pink shark. I'm like, that's it. Which is a reference to recent protests and symbolism. But yeah.
No, it's and I think the secret there is that we're not often told by society is that doubt is there regardless of whether you take the should path or the path that it sounds like he might be on, and there's no right way.
There's just your way.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, as long as you're not harming people, I think any way you want to live your life is the way to do it. So
that's a good measure. Yeah. Try to do no harm.
Yep. So, that thread has been in your music. I mean, that's one of the things that attracted me to it early on. My first and forever favorite song is Mekong, and thank you for your time. Here's to life. I mean, that permeates through. And again, we were just talking 30 years, and here we are now. So let's swing over. You've got this new album coming out. We are, as of the time that this hits audiences, will be just shy of a month of the new album coming out. So tell me what you've got in store for us.
Boy, wow, that's a big question. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be perceived. And actually, for the first time, as I try to take my own advice, is like be independent of the good opinion of others. you're always aware of that as an artist who's you have to have resources, i.e., money, to stay open in the commercial space. So it's a strange dance, the art and commerce. I don't know if I'm making any sense. What do I have in store? I don't know, but I think it's my band's best work yet. It's everybody steps back, and I don't know, and I don't want to say I don't care if anybody else feels this, because I would love the audiences to have that opinion. But I know that inside the creative, in our cutting room, our creative space, we've all stepped back from this record and gone, all right, we just did something. So we're very happy to share that. And I guess if it could do anything, if this record could do anything, I hope that it makes anybody who listens to it, and especially those who identify in some way as Peacemakers, where it's, they've been with us 30 years or 30 minutes, I don't really care. But if they go, that's a good record and I can be proud of it too, that will be enough for me. I don't care about sales. It's just, wow, this record is good. And in more than one way. I mean, I think it's actually going to be for the common good.
Tell me about that. I mean, did this come together as an album, as, a collection of songs that just happened to be ready to go, or was there a more intentional, even thematic approach to it, I guess?
It's the first time I wrote without what I call a telos, which is a Greek word for essentially statement of intent. I just wanted to be confident and insouciant enough to create what I wanted to create. And that's a principle a lot of artists already can adhere to, but that I've always sort of struggled with. There's, we were talking about society's expectations. You should. I liked your earlier work better, or whatever. You shouldn't be experimenting with this. Or when I was creating this, I threw all that aside. Didn't really care. Just wanted to write to find the joie de vivre in it again, to find the joy, the intrinsic motivation, like loving to sit on the couch and not caring how many hours go by. That labor is amazing when you're in that. I think the modern word is flow. But I hadn't felt that for some time after 2017's issue of Native Heart, and decided I wasn't going to create just because we haven't had a record out in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. This is 8 years after that record. But everybody, the whole world went through a whole bunch of crazy stuff, apocalypse after apocalypse, and we're in one now. So I wanted to want to write. And so finally, when I felt the joy of it again, felt the draw of the guitar bringing me to the couch, opening up the notepad, and feeling like that again, is when I started to write again. And it took a long time, very extended period of time, from the end of the end of Native Heart's record cycle, which probably ended about mid 2019, through effing COVID and all sorts of local, national, political turmoil, economic turmoil, just bedlam over the course of almost a decade. But in that, I still found fertile ground and purpose, and wrote Hell to Breakfast, which, in this long narrative that I'm talking about, what do you expect? Hell to Breakfast is that process, that title of finding the fertile ground in bedlam. Hell to Breakfast is an old cowboy thing my dad used to say. And it just meant, there's a lot of ways to frame it, but in a word, it's bedlam, but it's still fertile bedlam.
I think that concept of pausing, of taking a break, of not producing to produce is such an important thing in any art. As a writer myself, I came to a point where I was sort of forced by life to take a pause like that recently. Had some darkness the last couple of years, and a couple of months ago, I had this sort of revelation where it's like, I don't actually have to write anything. I can just take a break right now and then come back to it when the draw is there, when the need is there. And sure enough, now I have begun a new project naturally that I was drawn to, and I'm feeling very good about it, better than I have about all the projects I started and stopped, in those past couple of years.
Yeah, good. It's good to find joy in it again, and that's the reason you started. And if that fades or disappears, it's a dangerous place because then you're like, I'm skillful at creating this, but heart's not in it, and that's not why you started, and that's not why you should continue. So, I remember hearing the question so many times over the last few years. When do we get into music? And it's like, I'm tired of the question. You'll get it when I'm joyful about or happy about or proud about creating it again. Not to be selfish, but it's a selfish endeavor. I mean, art is about expressing the self, and since you naturally have to share it with others, it best be your best. I think. Else, I'm talking about Nashville and McDonald's again. So
Well,
no,
and
thank you.
that's just it. If you're doing it from a forced place, if you're creating something false, audiences will sense that, and they will equally, if not more so, push back against that. So the false thing.
I hope they sense it. Um, Otherwise, that's a scary vacuum. Like if your audience didn't sense it, they're like, oh yeah, it's great, but you don't feel that way. I guess the opposites could be dangerous too, where I feel like very happy, very proud, excited to share this. Maybe it'll fall totally flat, but Dylan had to plug into an electric guitar and he did it because he wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have yet to grab an album from you that affects me in that way, that negative way. So I'm pretty hopeful. I think you'll probably get there. I'm usually pretty pleased with the journeys you've taken us on. So
Well, I appreciate you sharing it.
yeah, yeah.
I'd failed to mention that one of the reasons or one of the sort of my, what is the word? He's sort of my ushers out of writer's block was Miles Nielsen. I'm a big fan of his work, and I love his band. He and I we do a lot of shows together, and we were asking each other, how are you feeling right now? This was a few years ago, and we both were in the same sort of abyss, like I can't even think my way out of this. I'm feeling too dark. So we let a couple months go by, and somebody had the bright idea of putting us together to try to enjoy it again. And so somebody who's smarter than we are, and it's probably both of our wives, we're like, let's get these fools out of this spiral and off the couch, out of our freaking hair. So I got put on a plane, and Miles picked me up in Chicago, and we took a car to a town who knows where, found an Airbnb with 2 bedrooms, brought 2 guitars, and after sleeping off the first night's hangover, we sat there in a parlor and bandied about some ideas and found it fun again together. And the product of that confluence is the second song on Hell to Breakfast, which is called American Drugs. He had the title, and he's like, I got this title. I think it's just really cool, but I don't know what to write about. And he shared it. I'm like, oh, that could go a lot of different ways with just a title sitting like that, and you're going to write underneath it. And then he also said something to the effect of, he was like, dude, I don't have anything in my catalog that's not nearly as Western rooted as your stuff. And I'm like, well, I could do that all day. And like, not that I'm like, it's almost like something I would otherwise try to avoid. But if you want that, let's talk about a story that can happen in my neck of the woods. And so the story begins and ends and begins and carries on in Nogales. And so listen to that and know that that's the work of Miles and me, digging our way towards the light,
That's amazing. Love Miles here. Been on the show a couple of times, and yeah, such a wonderful human. Really,
He's awesome and silly talented.
Yeah,
Just and criminally underrecognized, I think.
for sure. Yeah, we're always trying to spread the word about him. So
Yeah, please do. And visit he's one of his diversifications is in support of the arts. It's a little a club, a cool little club, serves great cocktails, great atmosphere, great staff, and especially nurtures music and the spoken word. It's called the Music Box in Rockford, Illinois. Check it out.
Rockford. That's been on my journey list since you mentioned it to me. I got to get up there one of these days. So
Dude, Rockford's a cool town.
it is. Yeah, it really is. So you're once you're healed up and the album's out, I imagine there's going to be a tour to promote the album going on. And as we were talking earlier, also it happens to be working toward 30 years of Fizzy Fuzzy. Will there be any of? I mean, obviously, I've seen you more times than I can count. There's always, callbacks to the past. But will there be any celebration in particular for Fizzy Fuzzy with that 30 years as you're also promoting this album?
There will. We're beginning when Hell to Breakfast, the day that we release it. Well, we release it on March 6th, I believe. And then our Arizona CD release party will be the 14th. So about a week after that. And at the same concert, we're going to play Hell to Breakfast top to bottom and celebrate Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy's Dirty 30 birthday. We want to focus on both, but not more on either. And we're trying to figure out how to do that on the road too. But a lot of Peacemakers fans, they want to hear stuff off all the records. So that's a lot of material. I don't know if we'll play all of both records while we're on the road. And I don't know how much of the catalog in between. There's 11 studio albums. We'll try to figure out how to make it all count, and give everybody a little piece of each era. It'll be challenging set lists and there'll be long nights, but I'm sure it'll be fun.
I've never been to a Peacemaker show that was too long, so.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, and for the listeners out in that area, I mean, this will be hitting a little less than a month before that show that you mentioned. So plenty of time for you to look that up and grab some tickets and get out there to check it out. So
it'll be at the Yucca Tap Room.
Oh, nice. Lot. Okay.
Same place we released Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy 30 years ago. So
wow, that's
yeah, the Yucca Tap Room's a legendary little dive bar here with a tiny stage, and we used to play. We had a residency there. We played every Sunday night, no cover, and it was fun. Like literally more fun than I can remember.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I once when I was out in Arizona, this was when I was still a teenager. I was out in Arizona on a family trip, and I forced my parents to drop me off at a show at Nita's Hideaway.
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah, this would have been late '90s, early aughts at the latest.
Was it the little bar in the junkyard side of town, or was it the more gentrified, bigger bar, which it was cool too? Which one? There were two Nitas.
I feel like
one Nitas, but it changed location.
Yeah, no, I think it was the original. The junkyard definitely rings a bell because I remember, my parents. I don't know how I taught them into doing this, honestly, but
they're a little scared to walk in.
Well, I wasn't scared to walk in. I was excited, but
because it could have been an intimidating bar. Like it was a proper dirty, sticky floored, smoky bar.
Yep, and I recall that being the draw for me, actually, and just knowing the bar from following you guys and then the community online at that time on the old dial-up internet days. But I remember my parents being a little questioning of dropping their son off in this place to leave for a few hours and then come back and pick me up later. So
yeah, well, good. Well, good on them to let you go, and good on you to do it. And I'm glad you made it, man. That's cool. Those are really great shows. What a great venue it was.
Yeah. And speaking of that, as we wind this down, you've built this wonderful community, the Peacemakers, since that time. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I even knew about Nita's, because, those were the days where you logged on to your AOL and found a chat room of fellow, at that time, Refreshments fans. And, this wonderful community built in very much so from the spirit that you brought. I mean, tell me about that community that's been built around you that you've helped build.
I wish I could take any credit for it, but I'm catalyst, not cause. If my music has attracted, like people, like things, it's a great byproduct. I don't want to have the hubris to say it's my reflection, but it's pretty cool to be able to hang with fans and you're like, I dig all you guys. This is really cool. So, and there are a lot of differences amongst us too. But I think this community finds more in common, and is willing to work towards being a community. So I'm grateful for it. And once again, I didn't set out to do that. It's the music attracted people. So the music's catalyst, not cause, but I'm honored that it could have that kind of reverberation in the world.
Yeah. Well, that's the magic of art too. The art and music right there. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the album, it's Hell to Breakfast coming out March 6th. And you can pre-order it right now, folks. My pre-order's in.
Bravo, thank you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And
vinyl, and we are doing CDs too, which is
yep.
like, that's a throwback. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. For the kids out there, it's these magical shiny discs where your music comes from. It's great. So
yeah, people hang them up as art or to scare the crows away from crops, you know.
All of the above, all of the above. Though I have noticed, I got into this myself, and then I saw it amongst people younger than me. The classic mix CD is making a comeback. So
those are fun.
Yeah, people are taking the time. So that's a wonderful thing. So
I go way back to remember mixed tapes.
Oh yeah, yep, yep, yeah. Those were the days. So yeah. Well, we're really excited about the new music and the new album, and of course the new tour. Definitely we'll catch some dates when you head our direction. So, anything else you want to tell the people out there, Roger, before we let you go?
I'm thinking on that. Yeah, just stay strong, stay brave, and stay kind.
Yeah, I think that's very important in this moment in time we're in right there. All right, take care.
You too. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events, and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, Hero, Junior, JR, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.